Ready? Okay. It is 6:01. I'm going to call this Village of Black Earth Village Board meeting to order. If I could have a roll call, please.
Terry Moyer,
Here.
Pam Louis-Reindl,
Here.
Sarah Morrow,
Here.
James Coyle,
Here.
Tyler Munson,
Here.
Scott Patchin,
Here.
Mitch Hodson,
Here.
Terry Moyer, go ahead.
Yep. Here. All right. Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Proof of posting, a copy of the notice was delivered to the following on February 5th, 2024, email to the Star News and Lake Ridge Bank at Black Earth, posted at the Black Earth Municipal Building, Black Earth Post Office, and the Black Earth webpage. Public comment. Hello, public.
Hi there.
You want to introduce yourself?
I do. I'm Bill Brocious. I live in Cross Plains, and you may have gotten an email from me, but you don't know who I am.
Yes.
I'm running for Dane County Supervisor for our district, which is District 28, Cross Plains, Black Earth, Mazo, Roxbury, Berry, that kind of area. I could get up and talk to you about how things are in the last 4 years. We've, operating expenses have gone up 32, almost 33%. Debt has gone up 65%. Taxes in the last 4 years have gone up 32%. That's just in the last 4 years. The board just gave the 11th holiday to Dane County workers for Indigenous People Day. They were asked to give Veterans Day, and they refused to do that. The jail was, as you guys know, has been a sore thumb for many, many years. It is now $22.8 million over budget, and they have to build it. So that money's going to come from more debt and our taxes. That's not really why I'm here, because you guys may know some of the stuff already. Why I am here is because I think as your Dane County Supervisor, I need to be a representative for the people in this community. So I have pledged myself and to you guys that I will be here once a quarter at your meeting to tell you what's going on in the county and to find out what you need from the county so I can bring that to the county board. That is my pledge. I don't know if you guys, do you know who your current representative is right now?
It's Considine, isn't it?
Michelle Doolin.
Michelle Doolin, no, I had no idea.
Right. Because she's probably never been here, I guess. There's 8 communities.
Considine do.
There's 8 communities within my district. I plan on visiting all of them. And Scott sent me an email going, you're gonna be busy, that's a lot of work, how can you maintain that? Well, that's my job. That is my pledge for you guys, is to be part of this community and part of this village and part of this board, to be able, in the sense of being on the county board, being able to help you guys and be that voice for the community. You guys all have my email now. I sent it to you. I did ask individually for endorsement. You may or may not want to give it to me. That's perfectly fine. I sent it out to everybody. That is really all I have. I'll be around until your closed session, then I'm going to take off. But if you have any questions or you want to sign or you just need information, feel free to give me a call, email me, whatever the case might be. I'll give your clerk all my information so she has that for minutes. And thank you for your attention, and I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming.
You bet.
Yes. I believe our other guests are already on the agenda, so I won't pitch to them yet. So we're going to move on to number 5, discussion and action, approval of the meeting minutes from the January 10th, 2024 meeting. A motion for approval.
I would move for approval of meeting minutes. I'll second.
Motion by Scott, second by James. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained.
I wasn't here.
We have
I
one
don't know what
abstain.
to talk about.
Okay, Tyler abstained. Motion carries. Takes us to number 6 on the agenda, the presentation and discussion from Craig Gerlach, interim Wisconsin Heights School District Administrator regarding the 24-25 school year operational referendum. Welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. I'm Craig Gerlach, interim superintendent for the year, replacing Jordan Sims, who left in, I believe, June, and they brought me on board for the year. They replaced the position with Michelle McGrath, who will be starting July 1, and her and I will have some transition. So thanks for your time. I'm going to be respectful of your time. You've got a long night, and I'm used to being where you're at and not up here. But I'm going to go through this presentation. It's about 15 minutes. And if you have questions at any time, please speak up, and then, of course, I'll take questions at the end. Okay, if I just, thank you. This is really nice that you have this set up for me. You can just hit the next one. First and foremost, we've got a really nice school district here. These are our latest test scores, and keep in mind, test scores are just one thing. They're just one snapshot, and of course, they can change from year to year. So when we have really high test scores, I caution people, don't get out there too much, because then you got to explain why they drop a year or two down the road. But generally, we have enjoyed very strong test scores in Wisconsin Heights. Last year, we were second within the area. This year, you can see we have the top score. Point is, we have great programs, we've got a great staff, and our kids are getting a strong education. Of course, we want to maintain that. We are going to a 4-year operational referendum. We are coming off a 5-year operational referendum. If I can talk a little bit about that, the difference between operations and capital. And you certainly probably know this in the roles that you play. A capital is a referendum that is for facilities. We did that in the school district, I believe, in 2020. We built, and of course you were well aware of that, we shut down and sold Black Earth Elementary and Mazamani, and brought those 2 schools on campus, built a beautiful new elementary school. And had a capital referendum to do so. Much like your mortgage, you buy a home, you take out a mortgage paid over 10, 15, 20, 30 years. In this case, we go out and we purchase bonds. Very different than operations. Operations is most of what we do every day. 75% of our operation is staff. It's people. We have teachers. We have support staff. We have administration to make up operations. It includes absolutely everything from curriculum to supplies to utilities to transportation to fuel to insurances, and that's an annual expense each and every year. 80% of the school districts in Wisconsin have gone to an operational referendum. I'll get more into that in terms of why. 56% have gone to multiple referendums. That likely isn't going to change. I don't see that. As the state system, going back to 1993, and that'll come up, included revenue limits. But if you've been listening to the news over the last couple of days, there's a lot of talk about the issues of, and again, we're talking, to your point, we're talking about a tax here. At the end of the day, the public school finance system is broke. It just doesn't work. It hasn't for years and years. So until that changes, we will continue to come and ask the public if they're willing to support public education. In '93, revenue limits were imposed. I was in Toma at the time. That meant that whatever you spent that year, you were locked into. I remember then Tommy Thompson was governor for a few years, and there was talk about revenue limits, and I think people just poo-pooed that. Well, that's never going to happen. That's never going to happen. Well, it did, and actually, Toma, which was very frugal, much like Wisconsin Heights, there were districts, not Toma, that spent that year, pick a number, $500, $1 million, $2 million more than their budget, because that would increase their budget, and that's what they would've got capped at. That's how unfair this thing is. That hasn't changed since 1993. And then we get into so many other issues. We have a low revenue ceiling, and if you go to the next slide, I believe, it'll be the one after that, but let me talk about, you can go back to the one we were just talking at. This is, to the right-hand side, you can see the average on the bottom is $12,506. That's the revenue per student. So we literally take that number. It gets a little bit complicated with open enrollment, kids that choose to come in or to leave. You multiply that by your student body, your membership, and that's your limit. And for our district, the low revenue ceiling, which makes no sense, is $11,000. That's what the state says can be your minimum. So if you spend $12,500, you get to automatically move it up to $11,000. We spend $11,000 per student. That's the lowest in the state. If you take a look at the right, the highest is $28,000. I don't have my glasses, $28,800. There are districts that are taking $28,000, multiplying it by our 750 students. That's what they get to spend. We multiply it by 11,000. How can you compare those education systems? And it goes back to 1993 based on the amount of money schools spend. The next slide, please. This is just our history. If you look, there's second from the bottom, $2.2 million for 5 years. We're asking for $3.2 for the next 4 years. So that's $1 million increase. And one would say, well, why would it go up $1 million? Well, you know as well as I what's happened with inflation, what's happened over the last a number of years. This goes back to planning 5 years ago. Administration and the school board at that time, through our Baird budgeting model, decided that 2.2 will meet the needs of the district for 5 years. We're losing that $2.2 million next year. It goes off the books because it was a non-recurring for 5. So if we don't pass this, we automatically have a $2.2 million hole. So we're asking for the 2.2 to cover what we used to have, and then an additional $1 million to cover what we believe are our needs for the next 4 years. And the reason we're going for 4 versus 5, it ties into the gubernatorial election. We want to be able to have the referendum end in the middle of the biennial budget. So we already know that next year we'll be receiving X amount of dollars in addition to or not, but we'll have that information a year before we go back to referendum. Otherwise, if we go back to referendum the year there's a new budget, whether the governor's there or not, doesn't have anything to do with it, but there is a new budget created, and it's very difficult to determine how do we build a budget when we don't even know what the budget is until about 4 months after the school year begins. Going back to that $11,000 per student, back from 1993, we received about $275 of new money per student. So maybe it was like $7,000 then. It would go from $7,250 to $7,507, then 4 years later it'd be $8,000. Generally, that was the theme until Act 10, and without getting into the politics of that, it's insignificant, but things changed. We went from what we thought would be a $250 increase to that base revenue, minus $600, to $50, followed by $0. We had 2 years back to back where we received $0 in revenue. Insurance goes up, fuel goes up, employment goes up. So at the end of the day, we don't have enough money from the state to maintain or sustain our budget needs in the district. The next slide, we'll talk about the tax impact. Again, This is asking for 3.2 million, which includes the 2.2 that's already on the books, that we would lose if we don't pass this, plus $1 million. So the increase, we were hoping to have a flat rate. We'd like to come to the public and say, we're losing $2.2 million. We're asking for that again for the next 5 years, 4 years, and there's no tax implication. But there is a tax implication because we're asking for more. You can see, I don't know if a $100,000 house exists. Let's use a $200,000 home. Your tax would go up $9 per year. So it's $9 per $100,000 of valuation.
18, right?
200,000.
200's 18, what did I say? Yeah, it's 9 for every 100. So you can do the math. If, we do have, homes that are very expensive here. We have farms that are expensive, I get that, but that gives you the gist of what the tax impact on. What's really frustrating is if you take a look at that right graph, that gives our aid for schools. I don't know if that reflects the aid that municipalities get here, but 80% of our budget of that revenue limit, the 750 kids times 11,000, 80% of that comes from taxpayers. 20 or it's 19.7, I believe. 20% comes from the state. That's really low. I was surprised when I saw that when I came here. I retired from Point a couple of years ago. In Point, we received 56% of that revenue from the state. So why is it only 20 here?
Stevens Point, Morrow Point, what are you talking about?
Stevens Point. Okay. Sorry, Stevens Point. Because we are considered land rich, these property here is very expensive. It's beautiful, farmland, the bluffs, gorgeous. That comes with a high price, so we're considered wealthy from a land perspective. And then you take that and you divide it by your 750 kids. You've got your equalized value per student is really high because we only have 750 kids in our school district. Quite frankly, that comes at a cost. Comes with a whole lot of benefits having a small school in a rural setting as well. But that was really surprising to me. And that's something that's all defined by the Department of Finance from the state. I don't even like to talk about this one, but the reality is someone's going to ask, what if it fails? If it fails, we need $3 million next year, but we're going to lose 2.2. We got a huge problem. We've been very lucky, fortunate in this community. It's been very supportive. I think our last passed at 67%, which is really, really strong anywhere. 67% of any election is fantastic. However, we had an operation or a capital in 2020. Then we had an operational, and then we had another capital for, I believe it was the auditorium that was cut out of the first capital. That failed. And now we're back again, and people could get referendum voting fatigue. So that is a concern. We don't have a choice, however. We are a small district. We can't cut transportation. There are so many things we can't cut. We don't have a lot of extra programming, so it's very difficult. In terms of what we pay our staff, it's average. It's not excessive. We do have a very strong fund balance. That's because we've been extremely responsible with our budgeting for years and years and years. We have a strong fund balance. People get confused with that as being a savings account. It's not a rainy day fund. It's money in, it's operations. We get paid by the state 4 times a year. We get property taxes 3 times a year. At July 1st, we have $5 million. And then we start paying for teachers coming back and payroll, and we're paying all transportation, and we're buying computers and supplies, and that $5 million is yours to pay for that. And then we get a bump from state aid, and then we spend more money. Then we get our taxes and we come in. If we don't have that, we would have, because many districts don't, then they gotta go to the bank twice a month to borrow money to make payroll. So it's important to maintain that. It's not as a savings account, it's operations. If the board has to, they could dip into that $3 million. Now you've got a $2 million fund balance. Year two, you have $2 million to cover your $3 million. You don't have enough to balance your budget 2 years, and your fund balance goes from $5 million to 0, and now you're borrowing money to make payroll. I think the next is going to be questions. This is how this will read on the ballot. It's, this is obviously drawn up by our legal counsel. We're asking to exceed the revenue limit by $3.2 million over the course of the next 4 years. That will allow us to operate our buildings. It's really allows us to maintain what we have. Questions?
I do. So you talked about referendum fatigue, and I'm gonna agree with that. One, what is your plan to really get to the residents of Black Earth and Mazo to explain the fact that the 2.2 is gone and we need to replace that? And two, how are you going to, what would you say to rebut the whole, you just spent a shit ton of money on that solar field?
Yep.
And now you're asking us for more money, because you're gonna hear it.
2 questions there. This is my 5th meeting, I believe. I will come, and we have 3 community meetings. We had our first last night. The attendance wasn't great.
Are you going out to the community, or are you asking them to come to you?
The school, our community committees meetings are at school. I'm out here. I'm going to several municipalities. I will go to anybody that asks me to show up. If there's 1 person or 100 people, I will go out with other people. I will go out everywhere. The key is so people understand it.
Right.
Nobody likes a referendum. Nobody wants their taxes to go up. People, if I can at least explain this to people, they can understand it. They still might not support it, and that's their choice.
Right.
But when you go and vote, we just need people to understand what they're voting for.
And when are your next 2 meetings? Do you have them set already?
We do.
They're on February, hold on, the next one is on Zoom, February.
It's on a Sunday. And I apologize, I should be able to roll those off.
You're talking to the queen and forget the date.
I will get those to you by the end of the night. One's on a Sunday night, and there's another one on a weekday.
And are they both on Zoom?
No, Sunday night's on Zoom, and the others, but you know what, we probably can add it on Zoom. We didn't have it on Zoom last night, just like you're doing it right now. And we can add additional meetings to that. Our Facebook account is very active. Anytime there's somebody that emails something, we respond to that immediately, but oftentimes that tells us, oh, people still aren't understanding this component of that. The solar system, that was, that's actually just about done right now. That was paid for out of Fund 47, which is a completely different fund than operations. Fund 47 are dollars that the district puts away that can only be used for construction purposes. So we can't go into Fund 47. The money that we paid for that, we can't put into operations. Statutorily, once you put that money in there, the only thing it can be used is for construction. And the district's been smart by putting some money in there slowly for that reason. So we do have money. You know, the referendum, people say, well, why wasn't that a part of the referendum? The same reason why the auditorium wasn't. You put too much on it, and the whole thing fails, and what we really needed was an elementary school. We need probably $3.5 million. Why aren't we asking for 3.5? Because we can't afford to fail it. Some board members wanted to go under 3, because 2.9 sounds better than 3.2. So gas at 499.99.
Right.
So we take a look at what our model says, and we're conservative. Trust me, we're conservative on this thing. But
I think Bailey has the date.
Bailey has the date. So your Zoom one is February 25th at 6 p.m. And the other in-person one is Thursday, March 7th at 6 p.m. in the staff room.
thank you.
Yeah.
And then there's gonna be a month before the election.
Okay.
So we likely will then add, 1 or 2 more. You know, there's a balance between going out to the people, and I get that. We always expect people to come to school. You wanna find out what come to school. But we open it up for those that wanna come to school. I'll go meet with everybody. There's the balance there too, between me coming here, I'm taking up your time here, and I wanna be respectful of that as well, but we have to get it out. Did you get that, Bailey, yourself, or did Dylan give you that?
No, I got it.
Dylan's one of my board members, by the way, you know, if you didn't.
He's one of my.
It was-
I know that, so.
We're familiar with Dylan, yeah.
How can you not be, right?
Right.
Anyway, thank you.
Craig, I have another question for you, actually, if you have a
Yeah.
moment. So you talked about the revenue limits being so different from district to district. What determines those limits for each of the districts?
It goes back to 1993, when the law created revenue limits. And that was whatever you spent in 1993, school districts. Because at that particular time, there were no limits. I was at, in Toma, and the board's thought was, I don't care what the budget is, but it's 5%. Just don't bring in anything over 5%. So budgets went up by 5%. And you'll go back to the 80s. You know, many of you were through that tax revolution, and it was ugly. So in 1993, the governor said, we are capping right now at your current spending. So if you were a low-spending school district, such as Wisconsin Heights, you got capped at a low level. If you were a high-spending school district, like a lot of your suburban schools around Milwaukee, Madison, you got capped at the high level. It's as simple as that, and that hasn't changed since. It's very, very unfair.
That funding, though, comes primarily from taxes, correct? 80% of that?
Yes, in our district. It varies from district to district. There's district that gets 0, and it's really unfair.
I think it also sets the limit for what you can spend without a referendum to get above your spending limit.
Correct. We can go above it with a referendum.
Without it, they can't. They can't go borrow the money.
When I talked about this being an expensive school or a wealthy, Eagle River, a buddy of mine's the soup, they have all those beautiful lakes, but the people, local people can't afford to live there. It's a poverty level. They get 0 because the wealth is all coming out of Minneapolis and Chicago going up to their cottages. Very, very unfair.
So is there nothing we can do to change that tax level? Otherwise, I'm just thinking, like, the ballot reads that this is non-recurring purposes, but it sounds like every time the referendum expires, a new one will be needed to sustain.
Yes. Yes, there's gonna be 125 school districts in April going to referendum. 120, it's almost 25%. That's just this year. We won't be coming, well, knock on wood, won't be coming back for 4 years. It's the system. We aren't gonna change that unless you go down, with a whole bunch of people down to the Capitol and, you know, knock some doors down, but that's been going on for 30 years. I've been down to the Capitol several times to talk about this. There's winners and losers. If they change it, it's about how much money the state's willing to put in. If they're just gonna, if this is the money they're putting in and they change it, there'll be winners and losers. If we win and we get more state aid, who's gonna lose it? Your wealthy communities where all your legislators have more people in their zones, it's all political.
And we run in the same thing with our 2% levy limit.
And our, yeah.
Here.
And our shared stairs.
It's the same thing.
Yep.
Yep.
So Sarah, with that brain of yours, figure out a way that we can all work together to fix that, because I know
Yeah.
we could do it.
Last thing, I think it would be helpful, and I don't expect an answer right now, but you have the slide about what if the referendum fails, and there's kind of some general information on their class sizes, programming, et cetera. But I think it would be helpful for community members to understand truly what that means. I personally, I don't know what the class sizes are now, and it would be helpful if I knew that information compared to if the referendum fails, what that looks like future. I think that would be
We like to
very,
keep
very
our-
impactful.
We like to keep our 4K, class sizes at 15. We're at 21. Our elementary class sizes are, 22, 23, they're class size. We've got 25, 26. So we still have, if you're gonna compare us to Madison, a lot of places, our class sizes are low, but they're above what our general guidelines are. So it's not like we can, we only have a couple sections of second grade. You go cut one section, you're gonna have 60 kids in the classroom. Well, that's not.
And if it failed the first year, Sarah, with their fund balance, they could manage for a year at their 2.2 existing, and then try for a referendum the next year too, so.
We could,
Yep.
but we would lose that healthy fund balance, because you'll never get that back.
It's hard.
Yeah, and I guess I think more just for general public, more information is helpful versus kind of speculating at what that means.
Yes.
I think that is a good point, Sarah, and to get back to, Pam's point too, the conversations in the community is, they just built a school. So if you could get some of that data out, that this is.
We just went to a referendum
Yeah,
for building.
For building.
It's different, and that's the concern I have right now.
that's the education part that
yeah.
comes in, yeah.
And my questions to you are, because, I do talk a lot, so I like to
Really?
shut up. I am not the only one. I want to be able to have some good backup,
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can
Last
answer.
time I supported the school, I took some pretty big.
Well, you also shut down a building.
Right, and that was part of it.
That really gets
So it was
emotional,
very tough.
really gets
So I just wanna
emotional
know
with
if that's,
people.
if we support this.
Yes, not only emotional, but you shut down the building, you sold the buildings, where's that money, why are you going back to referendum?
Not for much, right? So, didn't sell them for much.
I wasn't here
But I
for
also-
that one.
Well, I mean, you can't.
You can't. It's really worth the property it sits on, the as a building, it's worth millions if you have to replace it.
Yeah.
But if not, it costs you
It's the land.
$50,000 to knock it over.
Those are good pieces, though. Yeah.
I also think it would be helpful just to put at the forefront that this referendum is really to overcome shortfalls versus asking for money for newer, better, bigger. Because I mean, this is new information for me.
This is to maintain what we have.
Yeah.
Right, and I think that should be more forward in your conversations, so it's clear to everyone.
Yeah, I'm hearing you, thank you. That's what's good when we do these, each one I learn a little bit more in terms of how to frame it, what people need to hear. This is to maintain what we already have. It's not for new, it's not for more.
That should be it, because those just look like bullet points, and
That should be where your data is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Expand those
Yeah.
bullet points is what's
Like
gonna be
that
the driver.
graph of the 80% coming from state, I mean, we've used that 1,000 times over, and people guys displace, because they don't understand what that graph really is representing.
Yeah.
But telling them that you had 5 kindergarten classes this year, and I was out there with my grandson, and holy hello, I wouldn't be a teacher. But, I mean, I can't imagine if you took even just one of those 4Ks down to a,
Oh, my
from
goodness.
5 to 4, holy wow.
Yeah. Add 4 more kids to that.
To each class.
It's difficult, yes.
So, question for clarification on the tax implications to property value, $9 per 100,000 evaluation annually?
Annually for 4 years.
For 4 years?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's because in addition to the 2.2,
Which you're already paying for.
what's already on there.
Yeah.
Be clear, if this would fail, your school tax, not, that's the other thing, people look at their taxes, they just look at the bottom right hand. There's county tax, the school's obviously the largest, the technical college and, municipalities and whatnot. But if it would fail, that 2.2 goes off the boards it goes off your taxes. So it's $9 more on top of what you're paying right now.
This year, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that,
So,
I don't wanna drag this out too much longer, because we got business to do.
Yes.
I think that's important to get that number out.
Yeah.
$9 per 100,000.
Yeah.
per year,
Per year.
Per year,
Per year.
yeah.
because it doesn't seem like much at that point.
Well, that's why we break it down
Yep.
per month and what.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's $9 a year, per year for the course of the 4 years. Simplify it, is what I'm hearing.
One martini.
Okay.
I'm not giving that up.
Are
You
we-
can't make me.
And thank you.
We reduced it to the price of martini, so I think we're.
Thank you.
We're done.
Thank you for your time, appreciate it. And if you got other people that wanna listen to me, just give me a buzz and, I'll be happy to meet with them.
Thanks so much for coming
Yeah.
out. Thank you. Appreciate
If I leave at some given time, it's not being rude, I got a basketball game
Oh,
that I gotta get to.
there you go.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Go Vanguard.
Yeah, no. All right, thank you very much. Okay, first item, number 7, discussion action, cooperative agreement between Capital Area Regional Planning Commission and the Village of Black Earth for the Black Earth Creek watershed monitoring activities.
This is that money we already said, right, that we already kind of.
We already did.
We already, yeah, that's, so this is just the formality
This
of
is
signing
just
that?
the cooperative agreement and then agreement to pay.
The official,
So we just
So-
need approval of the final.
So I make a motion to approve, CY 2024-2028 as written, as discussed in prior meetings.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Pam, a second by Mitch. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That was James?
Yes.
Yep. Thank you. Sorry, James, I didn't hear. That motion carries. One. Or do you need to sign that later? Yep. Okay. Number 8, discussion, action of the Library Week proclamation. It was in your packet. Library Week is April 7th through the 13th.
I make a motion to approve the proclamation of the National Library Week 2024, April 7th to the 13th.
A second.
Motion by Pam, second by Tyler. Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, a motion carries. Thank you very much, Bailey. We'll get that signed for you. Discussion action of CSM approval, 1607 Blue Mound Street. I believe this is coming out of Planning Commission.
yes,
It was approved at Planning Commission. It is the, building that's on the corner of KP and Madison. That property, if you've been by there, he's renovating it into 2 units?
yeah, so it'll be, so this is just the official, map that was surveyed and drawn up to have the legal split, since it'll be, like condo units, so.
And he's
they-
selling them, right?
Yeah, they can be sold independently. So
Where
that
is
was
this at?
definitely the-
That's in that, across from Kitty Garfoot,
Oh,
Yeah.
right? He's
okay.
renovating that white,
Yeah.
big white thing.
Okay.
So this is just showing the legal split, it just needs our approval for it to go to the county, and then it will be recorded with the register of deeds.
And planning had already approved it, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So I would entertain a motion for that final approval of that.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mitch, second by James. Any questions or concerns, discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion.
Sarah, that was a.
That was,
support,
Sarah,
right?
was it? You were for, Sarah, right?
Aye, yes.
Okay, aye, yes. Thank you. Number 10, discussion action invoices to be paid. Invoices are in your packet, should be in front of you.
Have we been with Pelletary for a year? Okay.
Oh, that was a quick.
They raised the rate of the recycle dumpster. Wasn't much, but it's just,
Yeah,
Kinda weird that-
40 cents a month increase.
Did
Sorry,
we
what?
sign for that when they gave us the sheet about what it was gonna go up?
Yeah.
40 cents a year for those.
Yeah.
Additional, when I was
Yeah.
typing in one of Matt's invoices, I hit 0 instead of putting the actual amount in, so that will need to be changed.
So,
Which one?
under Halata Motors, there's 140, that should be $1,154.70.
I like what's in here better.
How much
Me
was it?
too.
Denied.
It was $1,154.70 that needed to be added.
Take it out of your paycheck, dude.
That dumpster was $11.70, that it went up. Not,
Per month?
I don't know, I don't know why. I just had $11.70, it went up for that month.
I'll make a note to talk to them about it and see why the difference would come up.
It's
No,
$11.70 per household?
No, the dumpster that we
I'm
rent.
talking just the dumpster.
Oh, that we
That-
have.
yeah, I don't even think we were supposed to be charged for them in the first place, but
Never got
I
added.
thought we were getting charged for one and not for the other.
And you wanna make a note to check on that?
So initially, I think there was not enough dumpsters put in. They added it, but when what, couldn't be charging us for having one of the service now, but they have.
Mr. Coyle, do you have that contract? 'Cause you are our historian.
I do, but I don't, I mean,
So you guys, you should get with Danny and check into it.
yeah.
Let's do that.
Let's,
Bring it back up.
so what do you wanna do with them? I mean, we're gonna have to pay it.
We're gonna pay it.
Oh, yeah.
To the credit, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep, we'll do on that.
All right, so then I'll make a motion to approve,
I have one more.
oh, no.
So this is just the, official approval for the, gateway to the drip list. It was the 1,500 that we put into the budget.
You don't have it on your list?
I didn't have it on the list, it just came with a letter. I'll put it in after
Oh,
the official.
But we had already approved that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so, again, I'll go back to, I'll make a motion to approve the invoices as just presented, with the discussion of, with Pelletier.
There's a motion to approve pending the discussion with military. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion? Sarah, do you have any questions?
I do not.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, that gives us, that takes us to the report. First report up, Vanguard Commission, Mr. Patchin.
Vanguard Commission has been in the process of looking for a new superintendent. There's been several meetings, we're down to the final candidate, which will be on Monday, when we bring it to the full commission for, approval. Other than that, Sean is home with his kids tonight, so we won't be hearing from him. His wife had a board meeting too. Not much going on that way. We did get a piece of equipment, and I can't talk in detail on it, but we saved a boatload of money, with the piece of equipment that we bought from Platteville.
Oh, that's the one he was talking about before.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
Cool.
just some structure work
Yeah.
that all will be used for the substation.
Right.
Something that Alliant Energy was retiring out of the Platteville area. It's a structure that actually will fit our substation very well. So it's kind of,
Big money savings, so, those. And that's all I got.
Can I ask a quick question on the replacement of Sean? If there was anything addressed about remote work? That,
You can talk about remote work.
on a week, off a week, in a different state?
Oh, no, nothing like that was, but this will be a full-time position,
In-house,
in-house.
thank you.
That's all? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Blackford
I'll
Fire
have more
District.
after Monday.
Okay. Blackford Fire District, that's me. We met on January 11th. We have a new rep for the town of Barry. David Everett joined us. Hacker reported there's been over 100 calls.
You went to that?
Highest there've been in a
100?
while, over 100 calls?
Last year?
100
For last year, yeah.
100, yeah, so that's the
2018
highest.
there was higher, but
Oh, okay.
What were the majority of them, can I ask?
They didn't-
I'd have to look.
Yeah, she didn't specify the nature of the call, just that it was
Smoke
over
alarms.
100 calls.
Smoke alarms. Yeah,
Right?
not many.
That's what I was wondering.
Not too many of those.
Like structure, I mean, you had a lot of car fires
Yeah,
this
there's,
summer, right? Did you have like 2 or 3 right back to back to back?
it goes in streaks, but no big structure fires, thank God.
The fire department held their elections, all positions, remain the same with the exception of Peter Kaminsky was elected as a lieutenant.
Yep.
Equipment looked good, there's a leak in tender 6, they're looking for grants to fund that repair. We reviewed the proposed truck replacement schedule that they've been working on, and we reviewed driveways for current plans for trimming and repair for access. A lot of work done in the rural area to make sure that the trucks can get in some of these driveways. Our next meeting is March 14th. That's it for that. Clerk treasurer.
So I put in your mailboxes the newsletter, just as if you haven't opened up your utility bills, but those are, what was sent out for, in each utility bill, this month. So due to the temperatures, our meter reading week was the week of the big snowstorm, and also when it was super, super cold. So we decided to estimate, meter reads for that month, so from.
Holiday in there too.
And the holiday. So it just was kind of a perfect storm of.
Perfect storm.
Yeah, perfect storm. So, I wrote the explanation in the newsletter, explaining what it is, what next month you'll expect, so, there'll be more in the next month's newsletter as well. These are what they are. Haven't really received a whole lot of calls on it, so, people haven't opened their bills yet, or the letters worked. The crime policy update that we talked about last time, I talked to them about it for a 250 and a 500,000, coverage, and they are able to increase us to 500 for no increase to our premium. I approved that with everyone. So now it is up to 500,000, up to 100. Plan commission is the 20th for, the former Senex building. That will be discussed there, so the notice is in the paper. It'll hit Thursday, and then the next Thursday for, the meeting the following Tuesday, that's at 6 p.m.
Planning commission is 6 p.m.
Yes.
Thank you.
The, notice is published, but the agenda will come out soon. Danny Eastman started up in the office, if you've been up when she's in. So she started on the 24th, so we've been spending a lot of time on training, getting her up to speed on things. It's going super, super well, working really well together with everyone. Great fit in the front office, hopping in, answering phones like day one. That's really nice to have. Extra coverage there. Beth and I signed up for our presidential election year class, so we're ramping up for our April election, and then going into summer, and then the fall presidential election, so that's a self-guided class that we'll be taking together. Green Bay. And I'm hosting a poll worker training on March 18th for all of our election workers, along with Mazo, in town of Blacker, and then there's some clerks from Arena that wanted to attend to see what training was. They heard good things about last when I did, so that's nice. So they'll be coming on. So that is the third Monday, so it'll bump.
Well, because we have to talk about that anyway.
Yeah. Other than that, have the taxes were wrapped up for the 31st. So that was all set for the clerk's office for tax collection for the first half. We're about 50% collection from January, And then the Dane County clerks are balancing everyone's reports right now, so I don't have what the total collection was yet, but I'll get that. They finished their stuff,
When are you planning on sending overage checks out?
March. So we wanted to wait for the balance,
Thank
from the county to come through, and then we're gonna compile them. And then also included, I have our, just don't want to fall off our GEO, borrowing list of things to consider. Make sure that that's front of mind, there's still, not an insignificant amount of money that was still unallocated. So it's just something that can be either delegated to committees for consideration, or if it's something that you want to as an item next month.
Probably wouldn't be bad to revisit.
I was extremely busy in the office, and before to not having tax payments coming in.
What is the civic update for access, or what?
So they've been pretty much wrapped up with everything for, end of year, 1099 W-2 stuff. So they gave me a tentative of the end of the month.
Any other questions for Danny?
You were really busy in the office. Why is it you're staying late and sending out emails at 8 o'clock tonight and stuff? I mean, is it to the point where, how many hours are you working?
A lot of overtime. Salaried, so it's not like it's affecting budget, affecting me, but.
Well, it does affect,
Well,
it affects your health, and I wanna say that I agree
Yeah,
with
I
you.
don't agree, I mean,
I drove by, I can't tell you what night it was, and it was 8:45, and you were here. Danny,
That Monday?
last
maybe,
night.
I don't know, last
You
week,
sent out
I think it was
email
last week.
Yeah, last night, I mean, it's like busy before board meeting, was getting everything done.
And then you were out on Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, it was
Those
all
are
last
tight days.
Thursday, Friday.
That's a tight turnaround when you come in on a Monday, when you've been gone on Thursday,
Right.
Friday, we have our board meeting on Tuesday.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure
I
that,
mean,
you
just
know,
shoot.
you're
Yeah,
not
it's just-
burning
it's a
both
lot.
ends. and-
So I don't know, what do we need to do? What,
Well, I think we're ramping Danny in,
Yeah.
so give us time,
Yeah.
give her time.
I wish it was as plug and play as just like, okay, she's set, and now I have 40 more free hours with having a new person, but, I mean, that, it takes time to, it takes time to learn all the things, and she told me that it's pretty eye-opening of how many different things just either come through the phone, through email, how many different things we have to know in the office, and she's like, I just drop off your check, and like, that's what you think of it, and not this process, this is how it's, you know, the processes, questions, the, meter reads, doing all that kind of stuff, and showing her all the things, and it's just kind of scratching like that, so but she's doing great. I mean, we've already, worked on some new things of, digitizing our, dog and cat licenses, so getting those scanned in, so we don't have a binder of paper to go back and reference. Just those basic things that are time consuming, that I have not had time from when.
They're good training tools for her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
getting her into it, doing the repetitive stuff, getting exposed.
Eventually, you know, that'll be like a good revenue source, those people that don't renew, that get one, like the chickens or whatever, and then they, right? At $10, it's $10.
$10.
That's right.
All right. We're good there. Dane, Iowa wastewater commission, Mr. Coyle.
there was not a whole lot, except for we did hire, I just say that last.
You said that last time.
Yeah, it's official, I mean, officially now, because I said it last month, we weren't quite, but Travis Mitchell has started
Yeah.
and is working.
So they're back up to full, I mean,
They're, yep,
they're back for good.
so it's catching on quick, they said, and
Oh,
everything's going well. Our next meeting is February 15th at 6 P.M.
Okay, good. Economic development.
I didn't go because I, of course, decided to try to kill myself with this in the EMR class. So my wonderful backup Mitch did.
And Tyler, actually, we nominated him as chair.
Perfect.
So.
You weren't there either?
Yes, he was there.
Oh, perfect.
Unfortunately, I can't find my notes, so I'm gonna have to go off of
Wing
memory
it.
of what,
Just wing it.
winging it. So there was continued discussion on, kind of visitor center, potential for a visitor center in the community, where that would potentially go, what it would potentially look like, how we determine that. Continued discussion on, heavy discussion on a path extension between here and the Wolf Run Trail, trying to get that connected as a primary economic driver for the village. Want to recreate out here. So kind of chicken and an egg, which one do you have to determine first? We reviewed some of the maps with potential easements that were already, that are already in place for a trail.
Council was
Council
gonna come with a map.
Yep, and so they're gonna come with a map
To the next
for
one.
the next meeting, and we were hoping to have that on Monday, February 12th, because that is to give us the information needed to know
Then
what is a possibility.
you're still my backup, right? So, who's my
Yeah, we
backup?
can- we'll
Someone's
take
gonna,
care.
I will,
I got a notice that my flight changed on Monday.
so you're not gonna be there?
That's gonna
So are we
affect
gonna
my
have
ability.
quorum? Cause I won't be there either on the
Who's our
12th.
backup? You are backup?
I won't be there.
No, but are you, who's our
That is, she is. So we're gonna have to switch
good
up.
backup you are?
Well, I gotta head to Vanguard, I got a meeting after, and then I go to Vanguard.
Scott, is Scott or James available?
Mine's the Vanguard.
We're at Vanguard that day.
James?
On the 12th?
Let's confirm also that ground, or they can be, if
Yeah,
they can't be here,
If
we'll
they
move the
can't,
date.
because I was like,
5:30.
yeah.
Whole committee.
We did discuss
Yeah.
this one other time, is that at EDC that I was taking this class, so. You wanna do that?
I can.
Okay.
Tentatively plan it, and then we'll see.
Tentatively plan it, James, please.
Monday at
That'd be
5:30?
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm done with class at the beginning of April.
It's
but
weird, 'cause I
I don't
actually
know.
have it on my calendar,
Huh?
so.
So that's, I've been sending every single meeting out to the whole board, just for.
Yeah, I saw it, thank you.
And she got to be responding to every one, so she
No, I didn't.
not,
It doesn't bother me.
I get sick
So
of talking to
just
you
as
too.
a,
It's an FYI, it's good for us all to know.
It is.
just if you wanna stop in and see what a different committee's talking about, or, oh, it's on the
Yeah.
agenda, then
that's good.
everyone kinda knows what's going on together.
Okay. Does that wrap up your report, Mr. Munson?
I believe so.
Yeah, okay, covers everything. G, emergency management, back to you.
Emergency management, we met, I forget the exact date.
It's the 16th.
We'll go with the 16th. We discussed completing a standard emergency management plan, updating that, to kind of the generally regarded standard from Dane County, emergency staff. It's just completing who to contact, where to contact, what the standard things are. I'm working on that. We were gonna we determined an org chart of who hierarchy is, keeping village president, one, and the
Clerk, public works.
clerk, public works, and then emergency chair.
And that's you, right? Your
Yes.
emergency man, so it would be 1, 2, 3.
Yes, yeah, I guess so. Also, I was voted to the head of that board
Good.
in that meeting too.
Perfect.
Looking forward to that. Nobody do a rain dance. That would be fantastic.
Let's not have a
I
replay
don't
of 2018.
I deal with enough emergencies in my normal day-to-day. Don't need any more.
Yeah.
Then you should be well defined.
Versed.
Well versed in things.
I'm used to chemical fires and hydraulic oil spills,
Well,
not
now we'll
flood.
teach you about flooding.
Yeah.
It's all the same.
Yeah, pretty, yeah, right. All right, next meeting is March 19th at 5:30 p.m.
Are you guys meeting monthly now?
I believe it's gonna be monthly until we determine that,
Second until we
can-
finish the.
until we finish that
Update.
updated plan, and then we'll kind of
Okay.
taper off.
Thank you very much. EMS committee, Pam.
I'm passing this to Mitch again, 'cause they're hiring a new person.
When was the fire board meeting?
It was, January 11th.
So January 11th, at 6 P.M., EMS met, they were down to a couple of finalists. The hiring committee asked that, they change directions, at least temporarily for a little bit. They agreed to hire Camden Parr as a interim director, not long-term, but we'll see. And then, since he's only gonna be like a 20% time person, they were actually hired, full-time EMS position because the money was available then. And then we had discussed, instead of, where it came from is, instead of hiring just an EMS director, let's do this and hire a EMS lieutenant or a, and then, as long as we got an interim director, we want to try to co-op with, see what Arena's doing. Cross Plains is looking for a director, we're looking for a director, and maybe we can hire one director among all of us and share the cost. So that's what we're looking at now.
You did have that discussion with Arena?
I don't know if they've had the discussion with Arena.
'Cause I know I've got a couple of people in my class from Arena, and
Yeah.
they're having some really.
It has not been
issues.
discussed probably with them, but
That would be a good.
the commission is supposed to explore joint ventures for a director, for the future.
Good.
So, next meeting will be, when's your next fire board meeting?
March 14th.
March 14th at
Is
6
that a
p.m.
Monday?
That is a Thursday. Should be.
Oh, I ain't going to that one either. No, they'll have to switch that, 'cause we are in that building.
Oh, in the EMS?
We are in the EMS.
Yeah, they talked about it, they'll probably go down to the fire station or something.
You will?
I will, yeah. That's a little ways away yet,
And I might not make it, so, whatever.
until March, so.
Okay.
You
All
got
right.
fire, so
Yeah, I got fired.
we can do that.
Okay, thank you, Mitch. Gateway to the Driftless, Mr. Munson again.
We met on January 25th. There was continued discussion with MadRep, the entity that basically is in charge of helping to drive, Dane County and surrounding counties, kind of encouraging people to come visit here. So that's a really good communication and, of course, to help drive economic growth in the entire area and make sure that our area does not get overlooked to all the others in the area, in the surrounding counties. So that's been a really nice presence in those meetings. They also are encouraging people there's a draft letter of support that was sent to, or will be sent to eventually the Dane County, Parks Director and Manager, in support of extending the trail sooner rather than later between Walking Iron Park and Manu's Wolf Run Trail, trying to connect that, not let that fall by the wayside so that there's a cohesive trail. Nothing really has changed as far as I recall, that parking lot on 78 going up to the bridge, there haven't been any.
Are they forwarding that letter? Or so we can put on letter and support?
I did see the draft, and, I can
You
forward
will
that
do
on.
anything, maybe?
No,
Okay, yeah,
I
that's
can
good.
forward that to you as well.
Yeah. Good.
And there was some officer re-elections that needed to be filled. They have in their operational bylaws that there are term limits, which had been met, but they voted, because there were no other volunteers, voluntold to continue and not ignore, but they went through that, bypassed it, and I think they're they went to officers eventually. Additional input, but they're willing to remain on to make sure that
Moody's sake, huh?
yes, and unfortunately, I did not write down when the next meeting was, and I'm checking with Peter Anthony on when that is.
Okay.
But generally, it's monthly, and I will.
All right. Thank you very much. Library board, Tony, or excuse me, Sarah. Your mom's not here.
Right. Since Bailey's there, if it's okay with you, Bailey, I'll just defer to you because you'll be much more thorough than I will be.
Sounds good. So we're gonna shoot right to Bailey then.
Okay. The library board last met on January 16th. In the past month, we had the first meeting for the fundraising feasibility study, which took place on January 23rd. That went pretty well. It was mostly just brainstorming for who to talk to and what we would want a community-wide survey to look like so that we can do that work. We have 25 adults signed up for the Winter Reading Challenge at this point, and that is only the adults that are participating on Bean Stats, because I don't have a way to count how many are doing paper logs until they turn them in. So presumably we have many more than that. And that ends on February 29th. And on February 29th, we're ending it with a Leap Day party, where we'll be watching Leap Year, the 2010 movie with Amy Adams, and we'll also have prizes to pick up and snacks. It'll be a fun time. Our first blood pressure screening event was on February 1st, and that was to kick off Heart Health Month. We had a few folks participate, but because of the annual report, I wasn't able to kind of meet with people the way that I wanted to in order to get the word out. So I'm planning to talk to the weekly exercise class and Coffee with a Cop about our next one, which is on. The annual report is finished and awaiting approval by the library board, so I'll be ready to present our statistics. And for upcoming programs, we have Storytime and Toddler Art on Tuesdays in February. We have Lego Club on the 23rd. We have a Teen Advisory Board meeting also on the 23rd, which is a no school day. We did that on purpose. We have Unbook Club on the 24th, the Leap Day party on the 29th, and book discussion on March 6th, blood pressure monitoring with Mount Morrow Family Pharmacy on March 7th, and a voter registration fair with the League of Women Voters of Dane County on March 9th. And then our next meeting is February 20th at 7 p.m.
All right, President's report. Well, as Danny mentioned, we welcomed our new Danny Eastman, on January 24th. I've been getting good reports, heard from several community members. They were glad to see her. She's very welcoming. She's hit the ground running, as Danny said, so they seem to be a real cohesive group. Glad to see that. I attended a Sauk Prairie Healthcare Focus Group Forum for community leaders on January 29th, where they were just trying to get feedback on concern areas and what they can do for programming. On February 15th, I'm attending the Building Wisconsin Communities Ellers 2024 Finance. Yeah, going to that. It's in the Dells. I'm just going to go for the Thursday. They have tax increment financing, public fund investing, TIF responsibility, best practices for the use of TIF, planning strategies for large utility projects, and I just thought it would be a good session, so I'm going to go spend the day there. I learned some stuff. So that would be my report. Public Works, Patchin.
Well, from all I can understand from the big snow is that we did a hell of a lot better job cleaning our roads than Madison did.
And Mazo.
No.
And Mazo.
I should say
And Mazo.
I've heard nothing but glowing reviews, but I am going to let Matt take it from here.
Buttering him up so he can.
Although I am concerned about the sugar intake I saw going down, you know, lots of Mountain Dew and donuts.
Yes, they lie.
That makes our health insurance increase.
Irrigation, Kev, and Mower.
So Public Works met on Monday, January eighth. Couple of things, Scott kind of talked with Vanguard already, with getting a possible structure from Platteville, working with the school, Vanguard's working with the school for their solar project and Alliant Energy. Vanguard's also doing some meter work, testing, and doing their tree trimming as well. Street lights at the intersection of Thorson Drive and Hillside was on the discussion again. Long discussion kind of got put to the fact of if we do a street project in that area, within the next couple of years, we'll look at adding potentially some street lighting in that subdivision. Transformer that's in our sub, is sitting there. They have some bushings installed. All tests were ran, came back fine, so once again, they're looking to move forward on that. With our well number 2 project, been a very long and drawn out project. Got it finally running yesterday, just under 3 months it's been on the service. There was a problem trying to find some rubber bearings, rubber bushings. First ones they put in, did not work, and at their expense, from what I understand, they had to pull the well apart again. We'll be meeting with their group on where we're gonna come at with the bill, but we did get it up and running yesterday, did some run testing, start stops, stuff like that, so in the coming, there'll be some more fine tuning with that, but finally glad to see that one's up and running. Haven't got a date of when we'll pull this one in the park yet, so good to have having both wells back operational. There was discussion on DOTT grants, that Tyler had done some research on, nothing that really any of our projects qualify for right now. Quick discussion on Webb and South Street, went back to EDC. There was discussion, and I am working on trying to get some quotes for doing maintenance on stormwater ditching that's located on RIP property, RIP subdivision area. Town and Country gave some updates on our funding, with some of the things that we applied for. There was no grant money awarded at this time. We did get the LRIP grant or funding, which is approximately $32,000. That's a 50-50, so we'll need to spend $64,000 in order to use that $32,000. So we're talking about where to utilize that. And then just there was an update on our capital projects as well, moving forward, that they have been in the process of planning and developing for us right now. Looking to work with Town and Country on our GIS mapping, to make some portals for some new requirements that DNR has put forward of what services go into what properties and buildings and such like that. Update from them was just, you know, equipment maintenance and such. There's some training that we signed up kind of all the crew guys for. One of those is this week, actually Thursday. And future agendas were more training and stormwater stuff as well, getting those quotes back. So things we've been working on, obviously had that large snowfall that took a lot of time of just plowing and then all the cleanup work within the cold and stuff like that. Been working with Well 2 projects, saw some vehicle maintenance, some issues. Did have a water main break last Monday, and that was just over here on Spring Street. Noticed Monday morning there was a higher usage of water. Phone call came in shortly after that. We started digging. Water was turned off at 10:30. Water was back in service by 12 o'clock. We had it kind of wrapped up, hole filled in by 2:30. So actually went pretty well. Luckily we had warm weather to do the repairs and fixing that. Not really too many facilities in the way. There was some old dead power lines and a phone line that kind of were a surprise because they weren't marked. So that kind of stalled the project for a little bit until we could get those verified. We've kind of been working on tree trimming today. We had a old radio repeater in the basement, that was not functioning for radio communications. Kind of, in the rural area, it was working in town, but for Vanguard utilizing it for some of their stuff, when they're doing their work, it wasn't reaching out to the farther rural areas, so that went in for repairs, and that cost was split between Vanguard, Black Earth Fire, and, Black Earth Public Works, and we're actually gonna relocate that repeater, to the fire department, being that they have a larger tower down there. So I guess that's kind of all I got for anything in Public Works meeting and updates for what's going on. I guess one more thing was, we did put the ice rink up. We got maybe 3 or 4 days of use out of it for right now.
Sure about that at the right time, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly. It was one of those things of, I was on the fence of putting it up, saw some good cold weather coming, and then all of a sudden, oh wait, now we're gonna get a bunch of snow coming in as well. So the snow kind of gypped us on it. I'm kind of watching a cold spell coming in February. I don't know if we can refill it, or we'll just see what happens here in the next couple days. Working, hopefully getting some contractors visiting soon on the Black Earth Park area to get that moving forward with, home removal and building removal, and, working with Phil Caminetti, our ball field maintenance guy, on some things that he would like to see with the donated money that came in for that, so.
Can you send out a request for a Parks Committee meeting to see what works for everybody, please? For that reason.
Yep.
Which is your request?
The reason, fire also was part of the repeater process is we can all communicate off the same frequency and all this stuff, so we pitched in and thought it was pretty valuable, so.
All right, that gives us.
Thanks, Matt.
Yep.
Thank you, Matt. To the Parks Committee, which you just requested a meeting date on.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there a Public Works meeting?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, is there a conflict there I was hearing, or?
Yeah, I'm gonna check with Danny on that, so.
Okay.
February 19th, we're low on a quorum, so we'll talk about it, okay? So that next meeting is pending,
Yeah, see if we can just change it from a Monday,
to maybe
Tuesday or Wednesday works for me,
Tuesday or Wednesday.
right, Matt? Because then it would be Matt. We fill in for, who fills in for Patch, because he's gone. Mr. Patch is gonna be gone in nice warm weather for a while. What's his backup?
I'll be there on the 19th.
So if that works for you, Tuesday or Wednesday of that week.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that works for me.
We got the Plan Commission meeting.
Yep, the 20th.
Right, so maybe we should back it up a week.
Wednesday works.
Wednesday, the 21st?
Okay, but then you guys, then we have, you meet Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
That is life. Life in the big city.
If you wanna do Wednesday, I'm on a Wednesday. What time? 5:30?
Matt, does that work for you?
What are we doing, Wednesday the 21st?
Yep.
February 21st at 5:30?
That's instead of the 19th.
Yes,
Yep.
please.
On the 19th, there's that intergovernmental EMS meeting in Vermont.
Oh,
That's later tonight, yeah.
I can get that.
And I hopefully will be back for that, but I don't know for
It's
sure.
6 o'clock.
And Dan's
Say that
going
again.
to
That's
that
on the
night.
19th?
That's the date she's landed on right now. I don't know. I haven't seen anything back from her, but that's.
Okay, so I got a call from Cody O'Connell. They were all out there last.
I got a call too, but it was changed and they were all notified.
They were
just missed it.
notified. I mean, it was sent by email.
It was,
Okay.
yeah.
But it was sent
I
like.
talked to him
Late, was it sent later?
No, it
No,
was plenty.
way ahead of time.
Yeah.
And then he looked and said, oh, yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's the 19th, so then
Yeah.
you're gonna know that I'm not gonna be there for that
Yeah.
either.
Yeah, that's.
Okay,
Tony, Sarah, I'm so sorry. I said Morrow and I said, oh, Mom.
That's okay.
Sarah.
Police
Sarah.
has not met. We have not met, but we did schedule a meeting. So we are scheduled for Tuesday, March 12th at 5:30.
All right. That completes the committee report. Number 12 I would entertain a motion to enter into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85, parent 1, parent E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Cell tower lease negotiation, sale of property, acquisition of Web Street. A roll call vote, please.
Terry Moyer,
Yes.
James Coyle,
Yes.
Scott Patchin,
Yes.
Sam Louis-Reindl,
Yes.
Sarah Morrow,
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
Tyler
Thank you.
Munson,
Nice to meet you, good luck.
Hey, Bill.
Thank you.
and Mitch Hodson.
Yes. You know,
Clear recording.
I'm noticing a lot of gray hairs coming in there, Tyler.
Okay.
Every time I
Repeat
get a
head
haircut.
hair.
Well, that's
You
true.
big bully.
Discussion, number 14, discussion action on closed session items.
I would make a motion that we pursue the tower payout with the numbers that were discussed in closed session.
Second.
I have a motion by Mitch, a second by Sarah to, not Tony, Tony went home. Tony, yeah, do you want to read the motion back?
Yeah, just to pursue the tower payout as discussed in closed session.
Okay, motion and a second, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
She's not eyeing.
She's-
second behind.
You were for it, correct?
She ayed.
She seconded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
I
an
second
aye,
and
not a-
I'm for. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
And we
In
have
an odd turn of events.
a second motion that needs consideration.
I make a motion to pursue the property on Web Street parcel as discussed,
I second.
both properties. Let me amend that. I make a motion to pursue both properties on Web Street as discussed in closed session.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
There was no discussion about consequences of the bad waste, whatever. Like putting money away or doing anything like
The
that.
escrow thing?
Yeah.
I don't think.
No, because
No, I think
So you're just gonna offer the
because of the amount
money?
of my offer.
Yeah.
That's a reason for the lower
Yeah.
offer, is to just say, you will not have to deal with it, and
Yeah.
So we're gonna put ourselves in there.
If they counter offer, then that's when we start that discussion.
Okay.
That's what
Okay.
I'd say.
We have a motion on the table. No other discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
No.
Sarah, you say no also?
I say no also.
That motion carries on a 5-2. Any other business may be brought before the board on future agendas? Hearing none, next.
I wanted to talk about I don't know if this is a board thing or a plan commission review, but could we talk about, the storage of, wrecked cars on Precision Towing as being, isn't that a violation of their conditional use permit?
Is it outside the fence?
Yeah.
Supposed to be inside.
Yes.
Must be inside.
Yeah, and they've been there a long time, like, I'm like, okay, it's snowstorm, like, 2 days.
Actually, at that point, we have to.
Well, we should be discussing it now. If you
Yeah,
guys
sorry.
have any agenda.
Yeah.
Let's put it on the agenda.
Yeah.
It might clear up before we get.
Or just make a phone call?
Huh?
Well,
Has anybody, yeah, I was gonna say, has anybody made a phone call?
No.
that's what I don't know,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what
if, what the
Yeah.
process is that we need to do.
Yeah,
We have to
let's
discuss
do
it
that
here.
and see what an option is, and then if you're getting pushback, then we'll get it on the agenda.
Yeah, 'cause you're right, I did notice that today, but maybe it's just
Back
happened.
windshields are broken out.
Is that the back window been broke out for a while? 'Cause I just noticed it this morning.
Been
Okay.
like 3 weeks.
Okay.
Setting of the next village board meeting will be March 5th. Planning commission is February 20th, as discussed.
I move we adjourn.
Is there,
Oops, sorry, Bill.
Go ahead.
is there any other meetings we need personnel or anything? coming up, wasn't there supposed to be one?
We're gonna try and fix Public Works because Mr. Patchin's gonna be gone, and it's on a Monday, so I'm otherwise obligated to class, so then we won't have a forum because she's also going to Vanguard.
So we're gonna move
I
that
said
to the
for-
Wednesday.
You might move it all into March if you want to.
Okay. For Public Works?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think,
All right.
I think that's,
I think Matt's got a good handle
Personnel,
on things.
we'll discuss and keep you posted.
Okay.
Okay?
and the
We'll have another
EDC,
snowstorm that week.
Yeah, James is gonna be
James
there,
got it.
if we can't move it, if,
I'm still.
on the twelfth, if we can't move it.
okay, awesome. Now I move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thanks, Sarah.
So they lost power.